So this is what I have, so now once we all understand the context very clearly, so I would like you to take you through some of the principles which we learned in a very tough time of, our journey of 8 years of enterprise grade mobile applications. So where we say, implement feature and support feature variants. So what we are saying, yes, every feature is very important, but don't limit, make sure you have it by design, you actually also take care of variances. How do you support anything can be changed? So that is what all those complexities saying. SDKs evolve, softwares, requirements evolve, and there are different standards, different versions of the same thing. But for all these, they are indirectly telling you, I am variable anytime, either now or in future or anywhere. So that is where we say, every object and class should be able to support variants at a field level and method level. And also think about object code reuse, not limited to single source, not limited to just Java source, but also rethink about resources, where you want to reuse images, you want to reuse audio and video and text. So why do we say this is what actually exactly people try to fit in different media, different text for each device, and different source code. I mean, we have something called magic numbers, so which I will actually give you an example of it. Also, don't depend on a plugin approach. Have an intelligent build script which actually makes you very, very professional and very easy for changes to happen. And you should also have a way to custom device configuration, so that you will, if the new device comes, it's some simple, you have to introduce a new device configuration and you are done. You are able to adopt to new SDK. Also try to use, for all these, you actually, Java has already given you a lot of strength. Object oriented has given you a lot of strength. Only thing is people don't think at root level to fix it. For example, source path, you can actually, it's very dynamic. You can actually build per device, so that you are able to really manage the complexity of fragmentation. Similarly, class path. Similarly, definition of devices. You can have your own definition of devices, and you should. So even also you have to very systematically install SDKs, so that you are able to have multiple SDKs evolved. I will demo all of them, but I'm just trying to see how much you can digest it now. And keep evolution in mind. As I said, this fragmentation we are seeing as a problem because of the mobile penetration. But this is there from day one, the software is coming. And it is aggravated now because there are massive usage of mobiles. So I would now, okay. So now I think there are no more questions. I will continue with how try to see how these mobile the 5O principles can be really understood by all of you in the form of tips, and where we really connect you to. Now we will tell you what is the problem which actually most of the people face, and how it gets done in the porting environment, and how we can actually bring out self-maintainable framework ourselves. So one of the point we said was the first, keep variance in mind. So leave away the world of bug, enter into the world of variance world, wherein what we said, anything can vary anytime. So that is is our principle, and this is meant for aspiring architects who can actually put some things in place, so that they are able to really manage the changes with reference to different devices very, very easily. So let me take the case. Most of the time you will see in the porting a code like if. So some variable is defined. If it is so some you would see that some so everywhere you will see endless list of ifs. So for example, if it is Nokia, And within Nokia, if it is S40, do this. If it is S60, do this. And tomorrow something else comes, you should know where to fit in another if. And if it is Motorola, so there is never ending. And this is only for one method. Now, can you imagine how many some device-specific code would exist if you were to develop a professional, enterprise application? So you will have, tons of complexity keep on building, and at some point they will have to throw away the code. So this is what is something like, very, very typical case you will see anywhere, in the porting. People will be trying to manage this. And we have very simple solution how you can manage it, being object oriented, not hooking onto third party, that means being native, and still find a way to code reuse across Android, across JTME, as well as BlackBerry. So we want to do away with this kind of code. See, that's the very simple philosophy we have. We need to make sure that this code should not exist for a professional enterprise applications. And then how are we going to meet it? So we want to say that, so we have eliminated this code and we want to write it in object oriented way just by calling device method play sound. Now in this context, now if I say I want to customize play sound per device. Now how do I see? That is a variance. Play sound is a method to be called, which can be changed from device to device or SDK to SDK or firmware of the device, anything it can happen. Now let us take a case where how that somebody can implement it with variance in mind. You see device method extends generic device method. So here we are saying, oh yeah, we have a device method which can actually bring in device specific play sound. And now in this case we see device method extends generic device method. And generic device is a super class which generically implements device method. That's why you don't see any method called play sound implemented. So device method is a wrapper to generic device method. Now if somebody wants to have it for Nokia, now what is it required? N60 device. So you can still implement N60 device, extend some XYZ, and you say play sound. So now if somebody wants to build it for N60 device, so what should we do? So device method is there with play sound, and for generic device it should call generic device methods play sound. For N60 device it should call N60 play device method. Now this is where the magic. If you can handle this, then we are pure object oriented, and we have also separated complete custom space. So now in N60 method is actually written for Nokia. You can always import Nokia API. Nobody will question it. However, this play sound which is here, will not know that it's Nokia. So at a class level we have differentiated it so much that it is pure object oriented. It can evolve. Now that is what we have to do it. So basically if you really see the previous screen, it was generic device method. At build time you can actually induce it to N60 device methods. So if somebody is building for N60 device, the build time can actually change it to N60 device methods, so that you have actually taken care of all the fragmentation. You don't need to worry about all the ifs, and it is very, very clear that we have separate place. We know that N60 device methods is a place where we have to actually capture anything specific to that particular device. And though we said N60 series, actually you can actually fine grain it to any level. N60, you can say N73, N60, N70 kind of thing. Any level you can go. So that is one tip. Do we have any other questions, moderator? Okay, fine. I think then we'll go to the next tip 2. Please stop me in case I think these tips are very. This is where I think the entire knowledge sharing is. If you can understand the porting business, and we try to simplify as much as possible. But however, we are saying being object oriented is a boon in the world of fragmentation. So now second tip is, you will see a lot of magic numbers. So where, for example, somebody wants to draw with a width something, standard, a generic, the original developer may have some width as, ABC, I mean, 10 or something. And then you need to keep finding an adjustment of 10 plus 10 minus 10 depending on the profile of the device. So you would see very, very common role of porting is finding the magic numbers. Now let us see in being now this is very complex, because now how are you going to do it for so many variations with ifs or case. For example, now you see case 128, case 245. Now what happens if you have something else in 128, you have another version of different coloring or something. So this ifs can go on. I mean I think that is why most of the people will actually on the porting I mean they have to throw away their code, but that doesn't work for enterprises, because they have to invest for each porting at least 200 to 500K, and which they cannot forego, because each release will cost them. And if you have too many releases, they are bound to fail, at least from the business returns point of view. So again here we want to know, even like ifs, we want to do away with switch cases. And how do we do it? We just define something called device constant dot width adjustment, and you follow the same philosophy, where we say yes, they have a device constant, extend generic device constant, and generic device constant will define the value as 10 or 5, whatever it is. And then for S40 devices, they will define what is that their kind of adjustment. So width adjustment is actually okay, the 10 is missing, so you would have actually, you can put it as some value 10, so that then at build time you can actually change it to device constant extends S40 device. So then what happens during the compile time, though you are calling device constant, which is extending S40 device, it will take whatever the value you have given in the S40 device, and it is very clean and object oriented, and you can actually have tons of these constants like this, so that at build time you have the best way to manage the porting needs. So this kind of approach can be handled by developers themselves. They don't need to have a separate porting team. So there were the two tips. One is the magic numbers, and second is how to avoid ifs. Say that all the ifs are ifs and switch cases resulting due to fragmentation of either devices or the software or SDK can be avoided that way. So now you will only have a business related ifs. That is the way the desktop applications are all. I mean, when you see most of the desktop application will have business related ifs, not more than that. Okay, I will take few more questions now. I think the mobile application developer. So I see one question from Mr. Chetan Sharma. As a mobile application developer, how can I identify a correct platform or a third party if needed? If you really ask me, you should not go with any third party API. But yes, if the business demands, you have no say, you have to use it. So our approach is, I'm saying, see, most of them are decided by business, and business will only know the technology problems in the last mile. So this is where is the challenge. If they really understand their last mile of the business, they have to really respect what are the technical decisions they have to take from day one. But most of the time, I think, people are running around to show something working. And that is the cause of a lot more problems than the fragmentation. So basically, if you are saying, please, you are also developing a software which evolves over a period of time. Whether it could be Android, JPME, or combination, or BlackBerry. Please make sure that you are doing engineeringly right things. And when I mean that, it is not about what is there in the mind, how much of that mind is reflected in the code. And if you do that, I think, any kind of complexity, whether it's a third party today or third party tomorrow, you can actually very, very easily evolve. So this is where we say code engineering has to come in place. And more than trying to see which tool, there's no tool is perfect. Any tool can kill you if you misuse it, and 90% of the time we misuse it. As you just told, we changed the generic device method to Nokia at build time. Yes, I don't know what is the question. I will tell you, how we overcome that. I will actually demo you something so that you will see that, see, once you understand that is the principle you have to apply, it is very easy to change at the build time. So yes, either you can use AND or anything else. So that was a question from Himanshu. And can I port J2ME app to Android? If yes, then how? Please let me know. Yes, we are saying, instead of taking it as a porting approach, look at code reuse approach. Where, for example, J2ME, Android is a superset of J2ME, Java ME. So which means most of the code other than the UI, you can be reused. So we will show you how you can dynamically reuse J2ME code. For example, you have created one class in J2ME, and the same class you should be able to actually use it in Android. So I would say, please don't look at it as, it is a porting. As a developer and an architect, what we want to see is, both of them are Java. Can I reuse them straight away as much as possible? So then, you're not actually investing on porting. You're actually investing on a better architecture, a better way of doing it. For example, business logic of, for example, if you're connecting a server, then you are actually defining an XML for as a service. Then the same thing of parsing and unparsing can be used by J2ME and Android. And if you have to fall in that, if that code falls within the common denominator of J2ME, why can't we put it as a common code? Don't even think about porting. It has the way, because that will actually even with one testing on one device, your business logic is going to be better.
Sorry to interfere, Mr. Raja. Your voice is breaking a lot. Can you please come closer to the mic?
Okay. Hello? Yeah. Is it better now? Hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
it seems better. It seems better.
Okay. So now let's take a third tip where you have people. We see a lot of invited branches which gets created eventually. When they start, they start very clean. But whenever the bugs come in and pressures of management come in, you will see infinite kind of branches gets created, and that also makes porting efforts highly unscalable or very costly. And at least based on our experience, we see you see at least Android, BlackBerry, Java ME. We have seen to that some people were creating source code across SDKs of Android 1.1 and 1.6, or 2.0, 2.3, 3.0. So there is that is where I'm saying it is about the fragmentation is not wrong. It's actually telling you some engineering problems. And if people manage in a very rudimentary way, that creates a business problem. And we have seen eventually people create one branch for each client. And this actually yes, you need, if it is earning big money, it is fine. But most of the startups they don't have so much of luxury. And even the big companies, I know at some point they cannot maintain it, they have to sell it and go. And so basically, yes, you please observe how many branches you are creating, and there is a solution you have to find, and we will tell you another solution which is working for us. I will demo you again across. See, you don't need to again the same question somebody asked me. Whether it is a choice of Android, J2ME. No, it is a holistic approach. You are developing an application which has to meet all these kinds of fragmentation world, and which need to find an architecture solution. Now let us say if we have this kind of architecture, this kind of directory structure, where it actually supports the fragmentation, it supports code reuse, it supports resource reuse, then you are better off. You don't need to worry about third-party API. You see, most of the fragmentation is represented in this directory structure. So what we are saying is, you have a foundation, and then you have a modules in it. In modules, you have embedded modules which are mobile, tablets, and TVs. And if you have a code which can be reused across all these, you can put it in the common. So we use the abbreviation CMN to represent common. And then within the mobiles, you have Android and GTM. Tomorrow something else can come. The BlackBerry is within GTM because it's a third party, specialization of GTM. So basically, you have some common code. As I said, if you have a business, you have to you have to parse whatever the XML to be coming from server for both Android devices as well as GTM devices. Then you can put that code here. So then what it means, when you are compiling for GTM classes are referring to this common code. When you are compiling for Android, it is also referring to common code. You still have one single source which is reusable, and with that source, if you test it on one device, you are more confident that even for the Android you are able to see that working. But yes, it actually demands a lot of skills, much more than very basic way of coding. But I'm sure that is the way to handle it. That is where I think we are all paid for as engineers. So now same thing, we are saying, you can introduce tomorrow, some other classification you have. You can actually introduce one more thing, and then framework will take care of using it. So create a new directory and start adopting it. Now we said this is the foundation, the ultimate reusable. But however, yes, it cannot be met 100%. Even first time you cannot meet, but you can actually maximize it. That is why you have a project specific directory structure. Here we are defining for a project called StageD, which is each user's foundation also has a specialization. So this is where if you really see, we are using the same object-oriented principles at the way we are organizing the source code. You may not see all this in Maven and all because they are meant for something else. But if I'm sure they may also evolve to this level, but at least it works for us. So what we are saying, anything can change anytime, but however I want a reusability, and those reusability can be captured in foundation, and this can also be captured at a module level reusability or at a global level reusability. So now similarly you will see a parallel directory per project, and if you see another project, you will see foundation same for that project, but they will have some project specific code. So basically, please apply simple object-oriented, and 90% of your problems of maintenance is gone. But however, you still need to have patience, and you should believe that this is the way I can go to the market faster. And we have seen this kind of things have saved as much as 50% of the cost and going to the market. So similarly, you will see again JTME. You would see, and again now in JTME you may okay, let me take in Android you may want to have something specific SDK. So then those all can go under resources where you have something called reporting directory. So you have SDKs also, you have different OEMs where you have 1.x version, 2.x version. You can actually keep adding source code corresponding to G10 here. So if it is reusable across all the G10 devices, you can use it here. So this can go to any extent. As I said, tomorrow, some different OEMs come, we have to create different directory and then start adding corresponding source code. And when an architect comes, if everything, I'm sure, people without good architect, they will put everything under G10. So, but that is not the intent. Architect job is to see how to move this so much of G10 source code to up and up and up. So that is where I think, at some point when you are defining let's say 10th application, you will have 80% of the source code coming from the foundation and common code. And that common code is already proven by then that, it can work in many versions. So that is the way to capture the knowledge and try to move forward and reduce your porting efforts. And then, if you have, you can always define your devices. And then you can also, across the devices, you can actually have inheritance, so that you don't need to see, for example, one of the common thing, many people talk to us is, JTME polish. So again, they use XML and they complicated it and overcomplicated it. And you have to depend on ours is a self-manageable, and, very, if I tell, coming. So this is what we are trying to say is, if you are object oriented, you can solve the object fragmentation problem with much more maturity and much more easily, and you can actually be much faster than the conventional approaches. So this is what is the directory structure. So as I said, yes, you can actually avoid infinite branches by using proper object oriented, and then trying to really leverage code reuse. Another thing I said, yes, you should not leave it to only the code. You have to, for example, logo. See, what do you change between so many devices? Logo, and the logo, if you really see it, it may be for X number of resolutions. Why can't we use that across the projects? There are so many. Once you start wearing this hat of object oriented, you will see a tremendous potential to give object oriented solutions for this toughest problem. So similarly, now we say, yeah, you have a resources, you have a common resources which you can use it. See, for example, I will discuss both on how to reuse I18 resources, that is like text and all. So we have actually abstracted it, not as a hard coded in the code. We can have, again, in the Excel sheet, this gets converted to code based on our tool. But however, I'm trying to say, even these resources, you see so many common things like exit, save. Why should they be part of every project? So they can come from the foundation, or if it is not the global foundation, they can come from the mobile foundation, mobile common foundation. You see, this is the one. So it inherits foundation. So basically what it means, if you really apply, then the increments in the porting becomes very easy to manage. And also for an architect, he knows by seeing it, whether it has to be part of that ported code, or can it move to the upper. And that is where I'm saying enterprises can save a lot of money and knowledge gets captured, reused. So this way what happens is, you are only focusing on what is that increment. And if it is more, then it's the architect job to see how well he can re-engineer. So similarly, now then this way you can actually reuse even the text content across the devices, and then with the simple inheritance. And then you can also have media, so where you can have so much of media which can be reused, and you can specialize it per device. So for example, for porting device, so even each ported device will have its own resources. Okay, so let me see. So yeah, so I have something to show you, like yeah, see now if you see my specialized application, TSD, is just instead of tons of things, it is just defining 80 specific to. So for example, even if I want to override edit specific to the project, I can do it. So, but if I'm not overriding it, I can actually delete it. Then it will take whatever is there in the superclass. So one is inheritance of this, and then overriding. And so basically, yes, I think even the resources I'm not able able to find actually. So you can actually create OEM specific resources wherein they are able to really override those resources per resolution. So now, for example, this is the icon which got changed from the main foundation to this. So basically, it is the same principle. You can apply it, but I think the reasoning for business is much different. You can avoid porting. So now again, in the final tip is please avoid Eclipse plugin because that is not the right one for professional development or professional way of saving developer efforts. And we keep saying it, that is the one which creates the source for IT waste and rework. Because yes, nobody can comment what Eclipse plugin has done, but actually over a period of time, because that doesn't have a feature, you will duplicate it, and then it makes once you duplicate it, you are in the hell, and that can continue to be in the hell. You cannot come back. Okay, now before I go to the summary, I will just show you the demo. So one of the things people were be interested, how does so for example, now see, if I see, I will take you to, so for example, now we have realized these all 5 principles through a very professional, framework using Ant. Ant is very powerful with a lot of custom tasks. We were able to achieve it, and you can see, for example, if you want to start a simulator in Android, you can just use Ant-Sem. And the same command will work for even starting JTME applications. So it will take some time, but let us come back to this. So you're not worried about now where my SDK is installed or what my which directory at all. Everything is taken care. And if I want the emulator for a default device is different. Emulator for if I want for C200, I can just say is you please start the emulator for C200. One simple C200 will take care of everything in terms of simulator and in terms of compilation, which source path to use, which class path to use, everything it will take care. So that is now this has actually started one emulator which actually so you can actually start playing with it. And the same thing, let us see, I have for so now this is supposed to actually build my device for C200, which has to take N40 series device specific code and then make it work on C200 emulator. So even the build time is can be reduced so much, and unless as I said that is the level of simplicity object oriented can give. Yeah, you see this Android device now, see the same, I use the same Ant-Sim. It is now able to understand it is the Android context. It also understands it is a G8 device default. But if somebody wants to give G10 device, it will actually start G10. Or if I want to start, so now with the Nokia, you can see the Nokia emulator coming up. So basically, the developer's pain has to be on how to achieve the business goals rather than meeting the fragmentation issues. If I say and DDMS will actually open up the DDMS related to that SDK, and then you are there for debugging. That's all. Now you can see this. So this is actually launched and then launched the corresponding thing. So basically, and see, though I've shown you how to start a simulator, see the simulators are also fragmented because they are in different directory locations and they have different ways of starting in different SDKs. And the same can be applied to resources, code reuse and code reuse. And this has been very well realized because, for a period of 3-4 years of our efforts. So, and another thing we see popularly is the configuration. For example, you have the same build, you may have to realize it in different configurations. If it is a local release, development release, production release, QA release, staging release. So all of them, you can actually capture in this form. Anything, I would only wish, any challenge you see with, a mobile application, please look at this way. 80 to 90% of the problem will go away, and you are actually investing a lot of time on solving the business problem. So as a summary, I think, I will go through the summary now. So as promised, our passion is to find a simple solutions for the complex enterprise problems. And we have seen that, how simple is it, and how, if you really see the real world, it is made so complex. And to solve that complex, they're adding, some different hype. But however, I'm saying, this needs much more tremendous efforts. But however, we have to reach there. Otherwise, we should not expect any great mobile applications coming in the near future. And at least in our company, we see fragmentation is not a curse, it is a boon, and it challenges the ordinary programmer. You have to elevate yourself a deep architect to solve these problems. And we have seen code reuse as much as 80% to 50%. And actually more than that, actually it tells, what are the upfront problems we are creating. Because once you start thinking in that way, it will tell you that, you're not limited to just making this code work on JTME, but you should also make sure Android it works, BlackBerry it works. So that way you are making your business logic much more bug-proof. And this our approach also, see, if you go with a pre-processing approach, people say if and pre-processing are same way of solving the problem, but however, if creates bigger footprint, because that code is there everywhere. And the pre-processing will actually eliminate at compile time, so it will have footprint less. But however, pre-processing will create another problem of not being object-oriented, and IDEs cannot able to help you on refactoring. If you say find, you say at a class level itself, many things change and it cannot find. So our approach actually goes beyond pre-processing, goes beyond ifs, and then give you pure object-oriented way and with a clear separation of the code. And architect can actually push himself to the higher and higher level. And it actually, we have seen it footprint reduce, not just because of the approach, but because obfuscators are there, because of object-oriented nature, they do much better job. And it can save a lot more time and cost going to the third-party solutions. And build time pre-processing is IDE friendly, debugger friendly, and in fact, you don't need to say that you need to build for one device. You can always say, for example,